left in the dirt. The twin suns burned hot above the dusty ground of planet Dorgath. Wind blew dry and sharp over the rocky fields. Nothing moved. Nothing lived, except one small, weak creature lying in the dirt. It was a strange-looking alien, dog. Its skin was rough, its fur patchy, and one of its legs was twisted. Flies buzzed around it. A cracked collar hung from its neck, and the name Z was barely readable. It had not eaten in days. It had not moved much in hours. Its breathing was shallow. Z used to live with the galactic aliens of Dorgath. But the aliens didn't, like ugly things. They loved shiny pets, big war machines, and clean, perfect creatures. Z had once been special, born in a lab, trained for something important. But then he got hurt. His body changed. He no longer looked strong. So they threw him out like garbage. No longer useful, one alien had said coldly. Put it outside, let nature take care of it, so they left him in the dirt. Alone, Z blinked slowly. His eyes were dry. The suns hurt his skin. Every time he tried to move, pain shot through his body. Still, some small fire inside him refused to die. He had once flown ships. He had once been called commander. Or had he dreamed that? A soft beep echoed in the sky above. A shadow passed over him. Far above the planet, a small human cargo ship flew low. It had no reason to stop. This planet was marked unworthy in the system. But inside the cockpit, Captain Drew Marshall frowned. Pause. The route, he said. Did anyone else see that? Something's down there. The co-pilot, a young woman named Lex, looked up. You want to land for a heat signature? Could just be old scrap. Drew shook his head. I saw movement. Something's alive. Sir, Lex said quietly, this isn't our problem. But Drew's eyes were firm. Plot the descent. The ship landed softly, blowing dust in every direction. Drew stepped out wearing his heat suit. As he walked through the wind, he saw the creature, lying still. He stopped. It was ugly, filthy, broken. But it lifted its head when he got close. Just a little. Just enough to show it wasn't ready to give up. Hey there, buddy, Drew whispered. He knelt down. What did they do to you? Z didn't respond, but his eyes looked straight into Drew's. The human took off his glove and touched the creature gently. His fingers brushed over the collar. Z, he read. That your name? The dog made a tiny sound, a weak breath almost like a sigh. Lex's voice came from the communicator. Captain, you okay out there? Drew pressed the button. Yeah, I found something. I'm bringing it in. Lex protested. Sir, that thing is half dead. You don't know what it is. What if it's dangerous? I don't care, Drew said. It's not dying out here, not like this. He wrapped Z in a blanket, careful of the broken leg. The alien dog didn't fight. He just closed his eyes and rested against the warmth. It had been so long since he had felt that. Back in the med bay of the ship, Lex helped as best she could, though her face showed doubt. We don't even know what it eats, she mumbled. We'll try everything, Drew replied. He's not just a stray. I can feel it. You say that about every rescue case, Lex muttered. Drew smiled faintly. Maybe, but look at his eyes. He's seen things. They worked for hours. Cleaned the wounds, gave drops of water, fed soft food. Z didn't move much, but he watched them both closely. His body was broken, but his mind still listened, still remembered. When night came, Drew sat beside the med table. He looked at the stars through the glass window. You're safe now, he said quietly. No more dirt, no more pain. I don't know what they did to you, but I won't let it end that way. Z stirred in the blanket. His body still hurt, but the warmth was good. The human's voice was gentle, kind. It was the first time in a long time someone had spoken like that. And deep in Z's memory, something opened. A small voice, long buried, whispered, Commander Zarka, report. Z's ear twitched. He had a name once. Not just Z, He had a purpose. He had a mission. And maybe now, it was time to remember it. The ship moved, slowly through the stars, leaving planet Dorgath far behind. Inside, Captain Drew Marshall sat in silence, watching the small alien creature rest in a warm bed. The alien dog, now cleaned and wrapped in soft cloth, was still weak. But it was breathing better. Its chest rose and fell, slow but steady. Lex leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "I still don't get it," she said. "That thing is ugly, like really ugly. Why would anyone design something like that?" Drew didn't look at her. "I don't think it was made to be pretty." "So what then? A science experiment? A battle pet? Or just a mistake?" Drew shook his head. "I don't know. But I saw something in his eyes." Lex rolled her eyes. "You always say that." "No, this time's different," he said. "That dog." He looked at me like he remembered something, like he knew who I was. "But we've never met." Z stirred. His ears twitched. He could hear them, understand them. His brain was slowly waking up like a fog clearing. There were words in his head, words in a language the aliens on Dorgath had forbidden him to speak. "Commander Zarka, status report." The voice again. He blinked, barely able to move his lips. Drew leaned closer. "Did you just try to say something?" Z opened his mouth, but only a soft groan came out. His throat was too dry, his energy too low. Lex looked nervous now. "Wait, did he just try to talk?" "I think so," Drew whispered. "Okay, that's not normal. You said it was just a dog." "I never said that," Drew replied. "I said it looked like one." Over the next 2 days, Drew spent every free minute beside Z. He fed him by hand, gave him clean water, and talked to him softly. Z never spoke back, but his eyes followed every word. His ears moved at every sound. He was learning, watching, remembering. Drew brought him different things: alien toys, pieces of tech, old training tools. Z ignored most of it. But one day, Drew placed an old military badge beside Z's bed. It was from Earth, a small metal pin that said, "Human Space Force, Commander Class." Z's eyes locked onto it. His breathing changed. Then he reached out, slowly with his twisted paw, and touched it. Drew's eyes widened. "Lex, come here!" Lex ran in, brushing crumbs off her shirt. "What? What happened?" He touched the badge. Maybe he liked the shiny part? "No," Drew said, staring. He recognized it. Z looked up at Drew. His mouth moved again. Still no sound. But his lips formed a word. "Huh. Man." Lex froze. "Did he just say?" "Yes," Drew breathed. "He said human." That night, Drew sat in the captain's chair, spinning, the badge in his fingers. His mind raced. "Who are you really?" he whispered, looking back toward the medbay. "Why would aliens abandon someone like you? And why do you know us?" He checked the ship's logs again. The signal he had followed, barely a flicker, was not from a normal life form. It was coded, encrypted. Old Earth military code. Z had sent that signal. Lex refused to believe it. A dying alien dog sent a human signal across space? Come on, Drew, that makes no sense. "I know," he said, "but look at the timing. As soon as we entered the sector, the signal flared up, and when I landed, it stopped." Lex frowned. "So he called you. Or someone like me," Drew said. "But I was the one who came." Back in the medbay, Z opened his eyes in the dark. The lights were dim and the ship was quiet. He could feel the engines hum, steady and soft. He liked that sound. He lifted his head, just a little. Then he looked at his reflection in the steel wall beside him. He didn't recognize himself. Once, he had been tall, strong, a leader. His voice had shaken mountains. His name had meant something. Now he was small, broken, thrown away, but not forgotten. Not by this human. Z pressed his paw against the badge again. Then, using the last of his strength, He whispered one word. Just one. Zarka. The name rang. Inside the ship's AI system. It triggered something buried deep in the human military files. An alert appeared on Drew's screen. Zarka Protocol. Classified. Earth Command level. Drew sat up straight. What the hell? He tapped the screen. Data spilled out. Files lost for over 60 years. Missions from a secret war. Photos of alien generals. One of them looked just like Z, but standing tall. Proud. In armor. Lex came running. What is it? Drew looked at her, eyes wide. He's not a dog, he said. He's a forgotten commander from a war we were never told about. Steam rose from the small bath chamber inside the ship. The walls were metal, the light soft. A slow drip of warm water echoed in the silence. Drew stood beside a tub filled with water, holding a small towel. In his arms was the creature he no longer saw as just a dog. Zarka lay still in his hands. Weak. Filthy. But something in him had changed. Ever since he had spoken his name, Drew had looked at him with new eyes. You're more than they said you were, Drew whispered. I don't know what happened to you, but I'll help you remember. Lex stood at the doorway, arms crossed. You sure about this? He might freak out. You know some animals don't like water. He's not an animal, Drew said softly. He was a commander. Lex blinked. He still smells like garbage. That's why I'm giving him a bath. Drew gently placed Zarka in the warm water. The alien creature flinched at first, his body stiff and afraid, but as the warmth soaked into his skin, he let out a low sound. Not a cry, not a growl. More like a sigh. For the first time, his body relaxed. Drew smiled. That's it. Easy now. He dipped the towel and began to clean the thick, sticky layers of dirt and dried blood from Zarka's body. As he did, strange symbols began to appear under the grime. Lines and markings carved into Zarka's skin, old, glowing, half-faded. What are those? Lex asked, moving closer. Not tattoos, Drew muttered. They look like command marks, rank signs. Lex leaned in. He's covered in them. Zarka's body told a story. These were not random scars. They were written in old galactic language, symbols of battles, stars conquered, fleets led. He had not been a pet. He had been a war leader. As Drew cleaned, Zarka's fur began to show its true color. It was not gray and patchy. It was deep black with glowing silver threads. He looked like a shadow wrapped in light. Beautiful even in his strange form. Lex stared. Okay. Wow. He's actually kind of majestic. Drew nodded. Ugly, huh? Okay. I take it back. For the first time since leaving Dorgath, Zarka opened his eyes wide. His body was still weak, but his mind was slowly clearing. The warm water, the human's gentle hands, it brought back flashes. A battlefield, stars falling from the sky, his voice yelling orders, his soldiers, millions, shouting his name. Then the betrayal. Then silence. His voice, once thunder, had been taken from him. His body changed, his name erased. Until now. Later, after the bath, Drew dried Zarka carefully. The alien's head rested against his chest, no longer afraid. You're not garbage, Drew whispered. Not anymore, you hear me? Zarka's mouth twitched. Lex brought in soft fabric. Made a bed. Best we can do. Drew laid him down. Thanks. As they turned to leave, a strange sound came from the medbed. Click. Buzz. The air flickered. A small blue light blinked on Zarka's chest, under his skin. What's that? Lex gasped. A beam of light shot up from the mark. It formed a tiny hologram above Zarka's body. An image of a ship, sharp and dark with alien-human design. It hovered, spinning slowly. Drew's mouth dropped. That's a flagship, and that's Earth tech built into it. Lex stepped back. This is bad, right? No. This is history. The hologram changed, flashing coordinates, star maps, command codes. Zarka was sharing information. Deep inside, something had unlocked. The bath had triggered a comfort protocol, a safe state, the kind a commander would only activate near trusted officers, and he had chosen them. That night, Drew sat alone with Zarka. He held a tablet and scrolled through the military data pulled from the signal earlier. Earth had erased the project. Project Zarka, a fusion of alien design and human intelligence, a living war mind, too powerful, too dangerous. They said the commander went rogue. He vanished. Some said he died. But now he was here, and he had called out. I don't know if you were a hero or a monster, Drew said softly. But I know what I see now. You're broken, yeah, but there's something left in you. Zarka's ear twitched. You saved those files, you saved your name, and now, maybe we can help you remember everything. Drew reached out and placed the badge beside Zarka again. The alien opened one eye. Zarka, Drew said, smiling. Welcome, back. The hum of the ship's engine was soft and steady, but inside the science lab the air felt tense. Lex stood over the scanner, eyes locked on the screen. Her fingers trembled slightly as she zoomed in and out of the results. This can't be right, she said under her breath. Drew walked in holding a mug of warm synth coffee. You've been quiet for 2 hours. Did the DNA scan finish? Lex nodded slowly. Yeah, it finished. That's the problem. Drew raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? She turned the screen so he could see. The display showed a full genetic breakdown. Strands of DNA, glowing markers, species matches. But it wasn't just alien DNA. There was human DNA inside Zarka. Drew blinked. No way. I double-checked, Lex said. I ran it again. This isn't contamination, it's clean. Zarka isn't just an alien, he's part human. Drew leaned closer. Is that even possible? Lex scrolled down the screen. Look at this. His brain structure, the command marks, the neural implants. They weren't grown naturally. They were built. He was created in a lab, probably by humans and aliens working together. Drew sat down slowly. Project Zarka wasn't just a commander, it was a test, a living weapon made from both sides. And they threw him away, Lex said bitterly, like trash. In the med bay, Zarka lay still, eyes closed, but his mind was awake. The warm bath, the kind voices, and the return of his name had started something inside him. Memories floated to the surface, pieces, images, sounds, a white lab. Voices arguing. Too much human emotion, shut it down. Pain. Silence. A cage. He remembered now. He had been made, not born. A living war mind, shaped to lead. But when he showed signs of thinking for himself, feeling too much, they erased him, or tried to, but a part of him refused to die. And now, a human had brought him back. Zarka opened his eyes. Captain, Lex said, pacing the lab. This could be dangerous. If Earth Command finds out we have him, they'll come after us. Hard. Drew didn't answer. He was watching Zarka's old holomap again, the spinning image of a hidden ship lost in deep space. It looked like a command vessel, buried in coordinates no one visited anymore. Maybe that's why he called us, Drew said. Maybe that ship is where the truth is. Lex narrowed her eyes. Or it's a trap. Either way, Drew replied. He trusted us. He could have called for help from anyone. But he waited 60 years for a human ship to pass. Lex sighed. You really believe he remembers who he is? Drew nodded. And I think he wants us to remember too. Back in the med bay, Drew entered with the scanner. Zarka, he said gently. I need your help. The alien opened one eye. Drew held up the tablet. This shows you're part human, that you were made by people like me. I know that might hurt, but it means something too. Zarka blinked slowly. I need to know if you're okay with us going deeper, Drew said. Unlocking more memories. More of you. Zarka moved his paw slightly and tapped the tablet. Yes. An hour later, Zarka was connected to the neural link system, a helmet designed for mind syncing. Drew sat across from him, his own helmet in place. You sure this is safe? Lex asked, nervously. No, Drew said, but I have to know. The machine powered on, lights blinked. The screen flashed, and suddenly, Drew wasn't in the medbay anymore. He stood in a giant hall of stars. Everything around him glowed. Ships floated above like silent guardians. And in the center, a tall black creature in armor stood proud. It was Zarka. But not broken, not weak. This was Zarka at full strength. His silver markings shined like blades. His voice echoed through the stars. Protect the line. Form ranks. Do not let them fall. Drew watched as thousands of alien soldiers followed Zarka's command, and then he saw a young human officer beside him. Laughing, fighting, friend. That officer looked just like Drew. Suddenly the vision cracked. The sky darkened. Voices shouted. Too much emotion. He's learning. Shut it down. Zarka turned, betrayed. You made me to feel, and now you fear what I feel? The memory shattered. Drew gasped, ripping off the helmet. His chest heaved. Zarka stared at him. You remembered, Drew said breathlessly. Zarka moved his lips, struggled, then said, soft but clear, friend. Drew's eyes burned. You're not a weapon. You're not a failure. Lex stood frozen. He remembers you. No, Drew said. He remembers someone like me. Maybe a copy, maybe family. But I think that's why he called me. He turned to Zarka. And I won't let them take you again. Zarka's glowing lines pulsed softly. The past was returning, but the fight for the truth was just beginning. The stars outside the ship looked calm, peaceful, but inside the cockpit of the Ember Light, tension filled the air. Lex stared at the radar. Her hands hovered above the control panel. Captain, something's coming. 3 fast ships, no ID signals. Military class. Drew stood behind her, jaw tight. Show me. She tapped the screen. A blue hologram appeared, showing 3 dark alien ships flying toward them. Fast, sharp, silent. Drew didn't need to ask who they were. They're here for Zarka, he said. In the medbay, Zarka sat up slowly. He still looked weak, but his eyes were sharper now, clear. He had remembered enough to know what those ships meant. They were Dorgathi war reclaimers. Once, they served him. Now, they hunted him. He tried to stand, but stumbled. Drew rushed in. Easy, buddy. You're not strong enough yet. Zarka shook his head. No time, they'll take me. Lex entered behind him. We could outrun them if we boost the engine core, but they'll follow forever. Drew looked at Zarka. Why do they want you now? They threw you away. Zarka's voice was low and rough. They found the signal. The data I carry. Still dangerous. I remember now. I hold the key to the warship, the one hidden in the stars. Lex's eyes widened. The ship from the vision? Zarka nodded. Still hidden, still powerful. Drew clenched his fist. And they want to use it. No, Zarka said. They want to destroy it so no one can rise again. The alien ships were close now. Lex activated the shields. Alarms echoed through the ship. Message incoming, she said. From the lead alien ship. Drew nodded. Put it on. A cold digital voice filled the room. Human vessel. You carry property of the Dorgathi Empire. Surrender the unit, or be destroyed. Drew walked to the comm. He pressed the button. This unit has a name, he said. His name is Zarka. Silence. Then the voice replied. That name is erased. You protect a mistake. Drew's voice was steady. Then I stand with the mistake. The alien ships opened fire. Laser blasts hit the shields. The ship shook, Lex shouted. Shields down to 70%. Zarka growled. His silver lines glowed brighter. I can fight. You can barely walk, Drew snapped. But Zarka limped forward. I must fight. This is my war. My memory. My fault. Drew looked him in the eye. Then let's do it together. They rushed to the weapon bay. Zarka stood in front of the control panel. His paw hovered over it, then, click. The panel opened. Hidden files unlocked. Lex gasped. He knows our system. He's not just reading it, Drew said. He remembers it. Zarka tapped the UI screen. Uploading countercode, disrupting enemy links. The ship's defense turrets locked on the alien ships. Targeting systems online, Lex confirmed. Zarka, you're amazing. Just remembering, Zarka replied. Outside, the alien ships moved in tight formation. Prepare for boarding, one pilot said. Do not let the unit escape. But just as they neared the Emberlight, Zarka activated a pulse wave. A shock of blue energy blasted out, scrambling their systems. The alien ship spun, trying to regain control. Drew saw the opening. Lex, fire! Lasers shot from their ship. One alien vessel burst into flames, the others fell back. Direct hit, Lex shouted. They're retreating. Drew turned to Zarka. You did it. Zarka sat down, exhausted. Just bought us time. They'll return. Drew nodded. Then we go to the ship. The one you hid. Lex blinked. Are we really doing this? Heading into a secret war zone? Drew looked at Zarka. He trusted us. I trust him. Zarka spoke quietly. It's the only place they won't follow. The ship is protected, it knows me. Lex sighed. Guess we're going to the ghost sector. Later, the three of them sat together in the control room. The stars outside looked endless. Drew looked at Zarka. Why did you send that signal now, after so many years? Zarka was silent for a moment, then he spoke. I waited, for someone kind. Someone who would see me, not as a weapon, but as a soul. Drew didn't speak. He just placed a hand gently on Zarka's back. You waited a long time, he said. But we're here now. Zarka nodded. Let's finish what they started. The stars ahead looked cold and dark. The ship moved slowly now, entering the edge of a forgotten region called the Ghost Sector. Maps showed it as empty. No planets, no stations, just silence. But Zarka sat in the co-pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the darkness. It's there, he whispered. Past the gravity ridge, hidden under a black field. Drew glanced at him. You're sure? Zarka nodded. I remember the codes. I buried them myself. Lex, sitting at navigation, looked nervous. Captain, if this warship really exists, we're flying straight into danger. Drew's voice was calm. Then, we fly carefully. Inside Zarka's mind, the storm of memory raged. Flashes came faster now. His body still felt weak, but his thoughts were sharper than ever. He remembered the lab where he was born, half alien, half human tech. He remembered learning 100 languages in 1 hour. He remembered the first time he stood on a battlefield, and his soldiers, both human and alien, saluted him with fear and respect. He had been a commander, a symbol of peace and power. Until fear turned allies into enemies. They had feared his loyalty, feared his feelings. So they tried to delete him, shut him down, lock his mind inside a broken body. But a part of him survived. The part that now sat on a human ship flying home. A loud beep snapped Lex out of her worry. We're hitting the gravity wall. The screen blinked red. A barrier of space dust and energy appeared ahead, invisible to the eye, but deadly to any normal ship. Only a ship with the right key can pass, Zarka said. Lex frowned. And that's supposed to be you? Zarka leaned forward. His paw hovered over the control panel. Then he whispered one word. Zarka. The ship responded instantly. Blue lights glowed across the console. A path opened in the field, like a gate parting for a king. Lex gasped. It recognized your voice. I told you, Zarka said. I buried the key myself. The ship slipped through the gate, entering a dark field of space, and then they saw it. Floating above a dead moon, half covered in metal fog, was the lost ship, the Crown of Fire. Massive, silent, sleeping. Lex stared. That's not a ship, that's a city, Drew whispered, and it's waiting for its commander. Zarka stood slowly. He walked to the window, staring at the ship. I lived there, he said softly. I led armies. I wrote peace treaties. I even cried. In that ship's walls. He closed his eyes. I was alive. They docked at one of the lower hangars. The bay opened without a single code typed. The ship knew who had returned. Inside, the halls were quiet. Metal vines of forgotten tech covered the walls, but nothing attacked. No traps, no defenses. The ship welcomed them. Zarka walked slowly through the halls. His paws touched familiar panels. Each part of this place remembers me. Lex watched, in awe. It's like it's breathing with him. Drew stayed close. Why did you hide it? Why not destroy it when they came for you? Zarka turned. Because I believed someday I would return, not to fight, but to choose. Choose what? Lex asked. Zarka looked at her. Who should inherit this power? They reached the command core. A huge room filled with dark glass, glowing symbols, and a massive throne-like chair in the center. Zarka stepped forward. The chair lit up, blue fire dancing across its arms. Drew watched carefully. You sure you want to do this? Zarka didn't answer. He sat down. Lights exploded across the room. The walls turned into moving stars. Screens blinked to life. Memory. Files opened. History poured out. Wars, missions, betrayal, peace talks, losses, victories. Zarka's eyes glowed bright silver now. I remember everything, he said. Lex stepped back. He's waking up. No, Drew said. He is awake. Zarka stood again. The glow around him faded, but his eyes stayed strong. I was made to lead, he said, voice steady. But they feared what I would become. Drew nodded. Because you weren't just a weapon, you were human too. Yes, Zarka said. I learned kindness, pain, love. That scared them. Lex asked, what now? You gonna use this ship to get revenge? Zarka shook his head. No, that's not who I am anymore. He looked at Drew. You saved me. You reminded me who I was. And now, I choose you. Drew blinked. What do you mean? This ship belongs to those who lead. With heart, Zarka said, not fear. He placed his paw on Drew's chest. You are the commander now. The command room of the Crown of Fire glowed with soft blue light. Zarka stood tall beside the central console, no longer limping, no longer weak. His eyes were calm. His silver markings pulsed like stars. Drew stood beside him, still trying to understand what had just happened. You're giving me command of the most powerful ship in the galaxy? He asked, stunned. Zarka nodded. You're not a soldier, not a king. That's why you're worthy. Lex stepped forward. But what does this mean for the rest of the galaxy? If word gets out that the Crown of Fire is active, they will come, Zarka said. To fear it, to take it, or to kneel before it. Drew turned to him. Then we have to decide what we stand for, before they arrive. Hours passed. The trio worked inside the ship's command center. Zarka guided them through ancient systems, maps of old war fronts, data files of long-dead commanders, messages from Earth and alien empires that had tried to control him. But one thing was clear. The Crown of Fire was not just a weapon, it was a sanctuary, a beacon, a ship that had once united enemies under a single mission, peace through power, strength through compassion. And now, it flew again. The signal went out 2 days later. Drew recorded it himself. To all listening, this is Captain Drew Marshall, aboard the vessel Crown of Fire. I speak not as a warrior, but as a man who found something left behind, something broken, something forgotten. His name is Zarka. You once called him a mistake, but I call him my friend. This ship is awake again, but we do not fly to conquer. We fly to protect any who threaten the weak. Beware. Any who are lost, you now have a light to follow. The message rippled across space. The Dorgathi Empire responded first. A cold broadcast. The traitor is alive. He must be destroyed. But their fleets did not move, because other voices rose too. Old colonies remembered Zarka's leadership. Survivors of forgotten wars remembered his mercy. Even pirates and smugglers had heard the legend of the silver-marked beast who spared children and carried wounded enemies to safety. And now they knew. He had returned, not to rule, but to guide. 3 days later, a fleet of Dorgathi warships entered the edge of Ghost Sector. Lex saw them first on radar. We've got incoming, a lot of them. Drew looked at Zarka. You think they'll attack? Zarka didn't answer. He simply stepped onto the main deck facing the stars. The warship stopped just outside the barrier. Then, one by one, they powered down their weapons. A message blinked on screen. We do not wish to fight the true commander, Lex whispered. They bowed. Drew turned to Zarka. They still follow you. Zarka looked tired but proud. They don't follow me. They follow what I stood for. What we now stand for. Together. Weeks passed. The Crown of Fire began to gather life again. Survivors, refugees, abandoned soldiers, even young aliens with nowhere else to go. They came, one ship at a time, answering Drew's message. It became a home. A new kind of fleet was born, not of war but of guardians, protectors, volunteers, and at its center stood Zarka, no longer a weapon, no longer a dog, just Zarka. One night, Drew walked the deck alone. He looked out into the stars, deep in thought. Zarka joined him silently. You ever think, Drew asked, that maybe we were never supposed to meet? Zarka chuckled, a soft, strange sound. I think we were always meant to. Drew smiled. You sure you don't want the commander's chair back? Zarka shook his head. I led with orders. You lead with heart. That's what this ship needs now. They stood in silence for a while. Then Zarka spoke again, his voice quiet. I was left in the dirt, forgotten by all. But you picked me up, Drew nodded, because no one deserves to die unloved. Zarka looked at the stars. Then let's make sure no one else has to. And so, the ship once called a weapon of war became something greater. A legend reborn. Symbol of hope. A place where humans and aliens worked side by side, not out of fear, but out of choice. And wherever darkness rose, the galaxy remembered one thing. The ugly alien dog had become the soul of the stars.